So typically in one of my videos, I would open the whole thing up with the main clip in question. I'd show you the video that we're talking about and then transition into my intro. However, I will not be doing it through the course of this video because the video in question is so violent, so disgusting, and so horrible that if I were to show you certain frames from it, YouTube would age restrict and suppress this video. And for those of you who are unaware of the situation that I'm referring to, it involves the son of an MMA fighter called Rampage Jackson. The son is called Raja Jackson, and he happened to be a streamer on Kick. And by the way, it's been a brutal week for Kick streamers as of late. There was the French Kick streamer who was essentially tortured by the people living in his streaming house, kept awake for 10 days to the point where he died. You also have another streamer on Kick that ended up shooting random paintballs at people that were passing by in order to complete some kind of other streaming challenge. And now you have this individual who decided that it would be acceptable to attack a wrestler physically, throw punches at his face while he was on the ground, sucker punch him in order to get revenge on him for what was a performance earlier on. And for those of you who are unaware, for those of you who might be confused, the type of wrestling that we're talking about is meant to be fake. It's meant to be staged. You're not actually supposed to crack people over the head throughout the course of these matches. So the professionals, and in this case, the professional Syko Stu, was definitely 100% not prepared to be rocked in the face. Not to mention, after he was unconscious, Raja thought it would be a good idea to beat him up and continually punch him in the face until multiple people had to restrain him and pull him off. And then after the fact, he decided it would be a good idea to proclaim that he's this big tough guy and people are throwing him under the bus and saying that he's weak, but he just proved that he's a real man, when in reality, sucker punching a man who may have already been unconscious prior to the first punch, according to some of the reports, is the weakest, most cowardly thing that you could possibly do. And this is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you the full timeline of events as we know them right now, and we're also going to talk about the fact that Raja was not arrested at the scene. He did eventually get banned from Kick, but considering he committed an attempted murder on live stream, this man needs to be put in jail for a lengthy period of time. But before we get into that, I want to thank you guys who support this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join. So I've said it before and I'll say it again, but there's something about being a live streamer as compared to other types of content creator that tends to bring out the worst in people. And I think one of the reasons behind this, in my humblest of opinions, is because live streaming is so much more inherently competitive than is posting videos, because unlike in our situation as YouTubers over here, where I post a video on a topic and you can watch my video and another content creator's video, live streaming, you're going head to head and you're competing. And this causes people to do all sorts of outrageous, crazy things in order to make a name for themselves. And reportedly, this Raja Jackson character really wanted to do so. And in addition to that, he's also a Nepo baby, kind of like Jank's nephew over on Twitch. So he also wanted to separate himself from his MMA father, Rampage Jackson. So of course, this guy is always walking around with a chip on his shoulder, and it all seemed to come to a head when he ended up showing up to this wrestling event. And we're talking about something that went down before this event, where one of the wrestlers in question, the guy who ended up nearly getting beaten to death, decided to do some of his performance shtick to Raja, the streamer.
Hey, I think that's a little...
Oh, you don't sell it? Easy. He's not a worker, bro. Calm down.
Yeah, what the was that?
You're good. What
the was that?
You don't sell it?
Dude, he's not a fucking
Bro.
worker, bro.
What the was that? Hold on. I don't play that, bro.
Oh, sorry.
No, I will fuck him
we're
up,
good.
bro.
I know you will.
No.
We're good.
I will
Sorry.
fuck him up,
I
bro.
know you will.
Now look, I want to make something clear to everybody out there in the audience. It is my belief from talking to people who know the wrestling game much better than I do, that this particular wrestler, the Syko Stu guy, did not actually hit him over the head with a can. He essentially swung the can near him and then crushed it in order to make the sound, which is a common wrestling trick in order to give the illusion that you're striking somebody and is part of of the performance. So even though I did freeze frame it as if there was violence there, I'm told by many people that there was no actual contact at that moment in time. But needless to say, Raja Jackson absolutely did not like that. He immediately went to fight this individual, thought he was being played as some kind of weak person, not realizing that what was assumed by many of these wrestlers, when this guy who's in pretty good shape, he's a pretty good size, showed up to their wrestling area with a camera crew, that they assumed that this was part of the performance. And as wrestlers, as performers, one of the things that they're taught is to try to seize the moment, execute the performance, make it entertaining for everyone. And by the way, this was all explained specifically to Raja Jackson later on when this guy apologized, saying, hey, look, I didn't realize that you weren't actually a wrestler, that this wasn't part of the performance, so I wasn't trying to get into your face, and I hope we can make peace. And they actually shook on it.
I appreciate it.
I didn't know. I thought you were at work. Camera.
I get it. We're working out. Well, he's gonna come out on your mat, too. I know you keep thinking we're working. We're always working. I get it. Yeah.
Now, I need to make a couple of things clear, because the fringest, most ghetto trash people who see this as a racial issue and want to defend the black person against a white person are trying to justify this vicious attempted murder based on the fact that the can thing ended up happening. And I show you the apology because I want you to understand that this wrestler was completely caught off guard by Raja later on, because man to man, it appeared that he accepted his apology. But even if this apology never happened, even if this can thing actually was legitimate and he hit him over the head with a can, that in no way, shape, or form justifies you coming back way later and trying to murder somebody. If you are in a situation where somebody hits you directly in the face, sure, you could defend yourself in that particular moment. We all understand that's self-defense, but that does not license you to come back hours later or even 10 minutes after the altercation actually went on and then launch an attack against some person and that be justified in any way, shape, or form. What happened right here is that Raja got his fifis hurt. He's a little baby. He's afraid of the fact that his audience see him as less of a man. So 16-year-olds were able to gas him up in live chat in order to act the way he acted later on. So now we jump forward to the day of the match, and apparently Raja was told that he would be able to get his get back in the ring or something of the sort, and he basically was invited by these wrestlers, from what I can tell right now, to participate in the performance. Again, do your slam, whatever. He might have been able to get a pin on this guy. They would have done the 1, 2, 3, declared him the winner, and hopefully that would satiate him. Hopefully that would make him feel better. But what they didn't realize is that Raja had been taking crap from the chat for not fighting against this wrestler. They were calling him a coward. So this guy wanted to prove something to everyone, and he ultimately ended up proving that he is the personification of weakness. And we're talking mental weakness right here, because he decides that he's got to beat this guy up in order to make a statement. And again, I'm giving you freeze frames of the video with a little bit of audio rather than actually showing you the video, because even though there's a wrestling slam in there, and that again is part of the performance, the fact is YouTube's terms of service and their algorithm and the people reviewing content are gonna say that slam must be the most horribly violent thing you've ever shown in your entire life. Oh my god, we gotta age restrict that and we gotta do something because you're showing violence. But to be clear, if you need to see the full videos, they will be linked in the description under where it says sources. They'll be labeled, super easy to find, super easy to check out. Needless to say, after Raja decides to slam this guy in the wrestling ring, and by the way, many people are reporting that the guy Syko Stu was actually knocked out after this slam. I don't know if that's confirmed, but needless to say, if he wasn't knocked out after the slam, the sucker punches that were thrown at his face when he was completely defenseless would have done the job. And for a good long time, way longer than honestly should have been allowed to go on, this guy is just wailing on this unconscious man's face. And there are reports that when Stu was sent to the hospital, he actually flat flatline for a minute because the damage was that severe. And obviously it's going to be when you are, even if you're regarded as a low tier MMA fighter, are punching somebody dead square in the face with any kind of training behind you. Now, of course, this guy, Raja Jackson, being an absolute idiot, being an absolute thug, brute criminal, decided to go outside, still on stream, by the way, and talk about how, oh, this is proof that he's like a tough guy and people really need to stop playing with him because now he's shown you what kind of a man he is.
Playing with me, bro. Real shit. One of them little bitch and fucking bit me. I'm tired of everybody playing with me and shit. Think I'm always playing and shit. Call me bitch and shit. Not no fucking bitch, bro. At the end of the day, I'm gonna stand up for my fucking self because I'm tired of everybody playing with me, bro. Real shit.
Now, of course, Raja did make a name for himself. He will be known for this forever. Make no mistake about it. This is totally separate from his father. We all understand what kind of person Raja is. We're absolutely disgusted with him. He also did show us what kind of a man he is. Somebody that will look you directly in the face, say that they accept your apology, say that they understand where the miscommunication was, only to attack you later in a vicious, savage, and cowardly way. But also, this guy was very intent on people not thinking of him as that word that means female dog. But the thing is, he proved the exact opposite right here, because he didn't come up to this man to man, say, we're gonna have a fight, start throwing hands with him in any kind of honorable way. He, somebody who has MMA training, decided that he needed to sucker punch this guy in the face repeatedly while he was unconscious for revenge after faking making peace with him. This was one of the most cowardly, weak things that you could possibly do, and it's honestly embarrassing, and I would leave it at embarrassment if this also wasn't an attempted murder. So yeah, Raja needs to be in jail. He should have been put in jail that night. He needs to be charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, whatever they could stack upon him, because we cannot allow this kind of behavior to repeat. And by the way, if this guy is going to go off on every single slight and hold grudges and then attack people in the future based on him feeling slighted, then yeah, he's a serious ongoing threat to society, and I need him to serve some significant amount of time as a consequence. Now, of course, I want to leave this up to you guys out there in the audience. What do you think about all of this? What do you think about me pinning this on streamers? What do you think about the racial implications of this? Because obviously there are some people who are trying to defend him, saying, oh, well, he stopped some evil white guy. That guy was white. He shouldn't have done anything to him. Or do you understand that the wrestler was acting as a wrestler does, and that Raja should not have escalated at all, let alone to this point? Again, all your thoughts down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Raja Jackson committing an attempted murder right before the world. Till next time.